Good evening and welcome to the Radio Orthodox Canada, the Canadian Orthodox Broadcasting System, and the Canadian Orthodox Monastery. I received an email from someone who had read in one of Yaroslav Pelikan's works that the Orthodox Church does not have a dogma of redemption. And the writer was a little upset by the statement and wondered about it. And I know that we use the term dogma very often in the Latin sense, rather than the Orthodox Christian sense. The ancient Holy Fathers would never have classed dogmas in the mechanical scientific mode that is now used in many Orthodox seminaries. This is a product of scholasticism. In fact, from an Orthodox point of view, if we look at the Holy Fathers, the Divine Liturgy is dogmatic. But in any case, let's focus on this question of Dogma of Redemption. It has a great deal to do with why I've been broadcasting about a more correct observance of the Nativity of Christ and avoiding the sectarian introductions which have been made in many Orthodox churches around Christmas and the celebration of Christmas in a way that is not completely compatible with an Orthodox Christian concept. And the reason is the Orthodox Church essentially has no dogmas in the Latin scholastic sense that we now use the word or the term. The dogma, our understanding of the teaching about redemption flows out of a concept and the revelation of the Incarnation of God. And this is one thing that is so profound about the Nativity Feast and the Nativity cycle. It is the basis and foundation of everything that we believe in the Orthodox Church. Every teaching, every doctrine, all of our understandings flow out of the Nativity of Christ, precisely because the Nativity of Christ is the incarnation of the living God. And this is why I still would like to caution people, when we come to the Feast of the Nativity, is not to degrade it and diminish it the way the Protestant world has. And when I see so many purely Protestant practices being introduced into the Orthodox Church, a lot of it being done through the Department of Education of the Orthodox Church in America, in fact, and other educational groups within the Orthodox Church. These cute, seemingly clever little things that are introduced around Christmas really do diminish the whole concept of the incarnation of the living God, upon which all doctrine, all understandings, and all teachings of the Orthodox Church are based, and out of which they all flow. The God who appeared in the Old Testament, all the Old Testament theophanies, God the Word. And now we come to the Nativity of Christ and the incarnation of the one who had appeared as the Lord of hosts, the Ancient of Days, the Angel of Great Counsel, and all these other images of God the Word in the Old Testament. Even in the symbol of faith, when we say, by whom all things were made, we're referring, of course, to Jesus Christ, the Son of God. So the one who appeared to Adam and Eve, the one who was the Creator in the beginning, the one who fellowshiped with them in the garden, this is the one whom we are celebrating at the Feast of the Nativity of Christ. There is no dogma of redemption in the Orthodox Church. The dogma of redemption simply flows out of the understanding of the incarnation of the living God, the Nativity of Christ. And the reason for the Incarnation is what shapes our understanding of our redemption. The re-sanctification of all of human nature in our Lord Jesus Christ, who appears to us at every stage of human life and development. The fact that God co-suffered with man, as Apostle Paul tells us in his letter to the Hebrews, and that he really shows solidarity with our suffering in the person of Jesus Christ, and that the empathy of God with mankind is an empathy which was witnessed to in Jesus Christ, and that we ourselves do not really grasp the empathy that God has for mankind except through the Incarnation, when God tabernacled with us and fellowshiped with us in the flesh, and suffered and endured all the difficulties of our human life in order to reveal to us the true co-suffering love of God with mankind and the true empathy of God with mankind. So when we focus on and come to the Feast of the Nativity of Christ, then we're also coming to the feast of the beginning of our understanding of everything that has to do with God and our relationship with God, of everything that has to do with the revelation, with the doctrine, with the teachings of the Orthodox Church about redemption, about the nature of the Church, about the Theotokos, about the gospel itself, about the doctrine of the Holy Trinity. All of these teachings really come to us out of the Feast of the Nativity of Christ and the things the Holy Fathers wrote about the Nativity itself, the Incarnation of God. The very nature of Jesus Christ as being both God and man, completely God, completely man, comes to us from the Feast of the Nativity of Christ. And so once more, I would like to, in responding to this question, beseech Orthodox Christians, and priests in particular, not to denigrate, not to degrade, not to minimalize the Feast of the Incarnation of God through sectarian Christmas practices, but rather to focus the fast before the Nativity and the divine services of the Nativity and those liturgies leading up to the Nativity of Christ that take place during the fasting period. Rather to focus those on instructing and teaching in whatever terms one can about the true meaning of the feast as the incarnation of the living God for the redemption of the whole fallen human nature and of those who believe in particular, and not to lower that message, not to focus on some kind of happy birthday baby Jesus when we're celebrating nothing about baby Jesus at all, and when that simply diminishes from the meaning and the revelation of the feast itself. We're not celebrating a miraculous birth of some baby 2,000 years ago. We're not celebrating happy birthday baby Jesus. We're celebrating, commemorating, and participating in the incarnation of the living God, who through his nativity begins pouring forth a direct and immediate co-suffering love with mankind, in which he is going to demonstrate to us in his life, in incarnate life, the incredible empathy of the Creator of the heavens and the earth with mankind, and that great and powerful co-suffering love, which is really the root of our redemption.